Nandara Samon, Shipata Sama City, Lama Kavashuna Jilshu. I should sit down and show him. Pachuji Kuda Dagi Lu.
Dagi, Father, your holy body and my body.
Pachuji Sunda Dagi Nga.
Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga, Father, your holy speech and my speech.
Pachuji Tuda Dagi Yi.
Pakyuke Tudan Dagi, Father, your holy mind and my mind.
Tayeme Jikto Chingilo.
Tenyerme Chiktu Jingilo. Please bless me so they may become inseparable and of the same nature.
Machuji Sunda Dagi Nga.
Makyuke Sundan Dagi Nga, Mother, your holy speech and my speech.
Machuji Tuda Dagi Yi.
Makyuke Tudan Dagi, Mother, your holy mind and my mind.
Tayeme Jikto Chingilo.
Tenyerme Chiktu Jingilo. Please bless me so they may become inseparable and of the same nature.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Ye Soha.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Yesoha.
Buonasera.
Buonasera, Rinpoche.
Choshidile.
Just a little.
So we have 2 days we are together. Lama Tsong Kapa called Gomde Sadhana, recitation, meditation. So now Lama Michel is starting now. I come back little after because now call me. I get from Tibet to come to my house. So I go up, sorry.
So, today and tomorrow we have these 2 days of the teachings and practice of the meditation and recitation of Lama Tsong Kapa. And in this moment we will have this explanation and initiation and teachings and so on. So now Lama Michel will start with the actual explanation of the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. I will come back a little bit later because I have some guests that have just arrived from Tibet and from Lhasa, from Tibet, and I need to receive them, and then later I will be coming down together with them also. Teje Chenrezi, Drime Gembe Wambo Jambe Lian, Debu Malu Jumze Sanweda, Kanche Kebe Tsugen Tsong Kapa, Losan Rabe Shabla Sowa De, Mime Tsewe Terche Chenrezi, Drime Gembe Wambo Jambe Lian, Debu Malu Jumze Sanweda, Kanche Kebe Tsugen Tsong Kapa, Losan Rabe Shabla Sowa De, Mime Tsewe Terche Chenrezi, Drime Kembe Wambo Jambe Lian, Debu Malu Jumse Sanweda, Kanche Kebe Tsugen Tsong Kapa, Losan Rabe Shabla Sowa De, Sewe Teje Chenrezi, Drime Kembe Wambo Jambe Malu Jumse Sanweda, Kanche Kebe Tsugen Tsong Kapa, Losan Rabe Shabla Sowa De, Mime Sewe Terche Chenrezi, Drime Kembe Wambo Jambe Lian, Debu Malu Jumse Sanweda, Kanche Kebe Tsugen Tsong Kapa, Losan Rabe Shabla Sowa De, Mime Tsewe Terche Chenrezi, Drime Kembe Wambo Jambe Debu Malu Jumse Sanweda, Kanche Kebe Tsugen Tsong Kapa, Losan Rabe Shabla Sowa De, Mime Tsewe Terche Chenrezi, Drime Kembe Wambo Jambe Lian, Debu Malu Jumse Sanweda, Kanche Kebe Tsugen Tsong Kapa, Losan Rabe Shabla Sowa De, Mime Tsewe Terche Chenrezi, Drime Kembe Wambo Jambe Devo malu chumse sangwe da kanche kebe tsugen Tsong Kapa lo san drabe shabla sowade mime tsewe terche chenre zi drime kembe wambo jambe liang. Devo malu chumse sangwe da kanche kebe tsugen Tsong Kapa lo san drabe shabla sowade mime tsewe terche chenre zi drime kembe wambo jambe Chomze sangwe da kanche kebe tsugen Tsong Kapa lo san drabe shabla solwa lo cho sambo pa gyo trashi pa tuche tembe trinle yarngo da pege drolo zambe zebra chen Pande lame shabla solvade Omo a guru vajra dara sumati monisha sane karma Uta varda nishri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om a guru vajra dara sumati monisha sane karma Uta varda nishri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om guru vajra dara sumati munisha sane karma Uta varda nishri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om guru vajra dara sumati munisha sane karma Uta varda nishri badra Varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Pakyuke kudan dagi lo Pakyuke sondan dagi nga Pakyuke tukdan dagi ye Tuen yerme chikdo jingi lo Makyuke kudan dagi lo Makyuke sondan dagi nga Makyuke tukdan dagi ye Tuen yerme chikdo jingi lo Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni Soha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha Sangye Chedan Sogi Chanamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Chishe Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparisho Sangye Chedan Sogi Chanamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Chishe Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparisho Sangye Chedan Sogi Chanamla Chancho Pardo Dani Dagi Chinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparisho. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So we will start by doing the first part of recitation of the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. And then after that, we will go through the actual detailed explanation of why and how and what and everything else, okay? So we start in page number 4. Namo Guru Bye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Triratnaya. Sangye Chedan Tsoki Chonam Lam Chanchu Pardo Dani Kyapsu Ching Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonamgi Drola Penchir Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Soki Chonamla Chanchu Pardo Dani Kyapsu Ching Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonamgi Drola Penchir Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Tsoki Chonamla Chanchu Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonamgi Drola Penchir Sangye Druparasho. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Semchen tamchen dewa dan dewe gyudan dembra gyurchi. Semchen tamche dunga dan dunga gi gyudan chalwar gyurchi. Semchen tamche dunga mepe dewa dami chalwar gyurchi. Semchen tamche nyerin chada nidan drewe dan nyomla nepra gyurchi. Semchen tamche lusem gi dunga le soshin trayun lusen dewa dan dembra gyurchi. Semchen tamche ngaso topchin china nuchu kori tanshin tsangmara ne gyurchi. Semchen tamche dan sambu lingi kendro tad chinangi shide dan tugun dembra gyurchi. May all beings have happiness and its causes. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all beings never be separated from the great happiness that is beyond all misery. May all beings dwell in equanimity, unaffected by attraction to dear ones and aversion to others. May all beings recover from the sicknesses of mind and body pollution and enjoy relative and absolute health now and forever.
May all beings relax in a pure and healthy outer and inner environment now and forever. May all beings enjoy inner and world peace now and forever. Tamche dunye sashida sema laso mebada lade tanyam bendorye rashi jambo ne gyuruchi lada mi chebeze ngosum shada yikitru kwensan chetri lana me namge kangun kyab gyuruchi O namo bhagavate benza sarva pramadane tata gata yarahate samya Sambuddhaya tayata om benze benze ma tetsa benze ma vidya benze ma bodhicitta benze ma bodhi mandupa sankramana benze sarva karp avarana vishodhana benze soha kuncho somge dembada sangye danchan chusempa Tamche gijin gilauda, tsonye yonso zobe ngadan chenboda, cheke ye nambra dachin samge mikyape, topge teshin nidu kyurchi. Ganden Lha Ghiema tukane, rab karasho sarapundre chutzinser, Chöki gyabo kungen lo sandra Sedan chepa ne dire sheso so Dunginam karasen ripedentem Chetsun lama gebe zun karachem Dalo debe sena shinchotu Tempa gechi kel gyara shusus Shijikun kun chawe lo drotu Kesana we gengyur lekshesun Trapepe gilha metzepekum Tön tön rempe tön de la chatse Yi won che yön na tso me to dam Tri shin du pe na se tri cha so Ngo sha yi tru che tring ga tso di Se nam shin cha Kela che babu Kanshi tom tu ne sapai Lunga i gimi ge chi gidang Ke pardon pasum gimi tunche Nine ge pa chape so sorasha Ni me tu dir manto drubla tsum Che ge pambe del jorotun yeche Gompo kye gi lab chen ze bala Dacha sampa tape yirangun Jetsun lama tampa kenam ki Choku kala kentse nem Jitra tsampe du chen zimala Sabge choki charba abtuso Nam da se yin ne shempa yi Sonjo ku la char no mi nga yang Ta me na ngor su ku ra pa yi Si te pardo minu temparash Dagi jinye sape ge wadi Tentan rova kun la kampe dang Ke para je tsun lo san tra pa i tempe nim po rin tu sal che shu sa shi pe ge chu she me do tra ri ra lin she ni de gen ba di sang ge shin do mi de u war ra gi ro gu nam da shin la che para sho Yedam Guru Radna Mandala Kam Niryata Yami Mime Tsewe Terche Chenre Zi Drime Kembe Wambo Chambe Liang Dubu Malu Chumse Sangwe Da Kanche Kebe Tsugen Tsong Kapa Losan Trabe Shabla Sowa De Mime Tsewe Terche Chenre Zi Drime Kembe Wambo Chambe Liang Dubu malu jumse sangwe da kanche kebe tsugen tsong kapa losan trabe shabla sowa de mime tsewe terche drime kembe wambo jambe liang Dubu malu jumse sangwe da kanche kebe tsugen tsong kapa losan trabe shabla sowa de mime tsewe terche chenre si Drime kembe wambo chambe liang Dubu malu chumse sangwe da Kanche kebe tsugen tsong kapa Losan trabe shabla solwa de Oma a guru vajra dara sumati kirti siddhi hum hum Om a guru vajra dara sumati kirti siddhi hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi Hum.
So, we have, this today is about the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. Generally speaking, in our spiritual path, there are some aspects that are very important. They're not only important, I would say they are essential in our path. These points, they can be reassumed in what we call the preliminary practices, or the 6 dharmas of preparation, or if we make it a little bit more simple, we can talk about we have the preparation to the actual meditation, which is preparing the place where we are, the right position, preparing our mind. And then we have the accumulation of merits, the purification of our negative karma, the requesting of blessings. These are part of the preliminary practices. Then we have a 4th point here, which is very important, that is the actual meditation. The actual meditation, which we meditate on the gradual path to enlightenment, or we meditate on one specific part of the gradual path to enlightenment. Okay? But this whole part that comes before, which is to accumulate merits, to purify our negativities, to request the blessings, is very, very important. So this is existing in almost all the traditions that I know. Inside Tibetan Buddhism, in the Nyingma, Kargyo, Sakya, Gelo, all the traditions have this part of accumulating merit, purifying the negativities, requesting the blessings, and so on. And not only that, also in other traditions of Buddhism, we also have the same process of practice. In our specific Gelugpa tradition, the emphasis that we give on this practice is on the Guru Yoga. The Guru Yoga is the practice of meditation, through which we use the relationship that we have with our Guru as a bridge to connect to all Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, to connect to all other holy beings. We use this connection in order to accumulate merit, to purify our negativities, to request the blessings, and so on. One of the important aspects of this is that when we do the practice, and like as we are going to see in the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa, It's not that we are just imagining whatever deity or Buddha and a little bit far away from our mind. It's very important to do this not in a very conceptual way, but also mostly in a deep, let's say almost emotional state. It's something that should come from deep in our heart. And when we need to create this deep connection, it's actually much easier for us to have this deep connection with someone that we know, someone that we can touch, that we can see, that we love, that we feel loved, that we can trust, that we feel trusted. It's much more strong. Instead of just relating ourselves to some far away image of a Buddha or a deity that is somehow abstract and far away from us. So the Guru, in this sense of the Guru Yoga, becomes actually like the bridge between us and the holy beings. It's like the connection that we have. So, in this practice, this is something that when we talk about our lineage, we come from the whispered lineage of Ganden Nyenghiu. The whispered lineage of Ganden, it means that there are aspects in our practice that were not mainly taught writtenly, but they were mainly taught verbally. No? So that's why we call the oral lineage of Ganden or the whispered lineage of Ganden. And the main aspect, most common aspect of the whispered lineage of Ganden is exactly the fact that the center of our practice is the Guru Yoga. Okay. And from my personal experience, the Guru Yoga is extremely powerful, extremely deep, direct, and personally is my favorite practice, Guru Yoga generally speaking. And then from that we have many different forms of Guru Yoga, which means the actual Guru Yoga practice is basically the same, but you can have different sorts of, how to say, you can make the practice with a specific deity, like with Tarachitamani or with Yamantaka, or you can make the Guru Yoga practice very simple, just with the mantra of the Guru, or you can make the Guru Yoga practice through Lama Tsong Kapa, which is the case that we are going to see now. We have the Guru Yoga practice through Lama Tsong Kapa. So, there are many, many practices of Guru Yoga. The essence is always the same. You know, if we take the structure of the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa that we are going to see here today, tomorrow, after that we can go to see any practice of Guru Yoga. We will see that basically it fits in the same way. Okay? Some small things will change, but basically the practice is the same. This is one wonderful thing about Buddhism also, is that once you understand the Guru Yoga well, then you can understand the Guru Yoga of Kalachakra, you can understand the Guru Yoga of Yamantaka, or Vajrayogini, of any other Guru Yoga that is there. You can understand it much better. So, but first you need to understand very well what is Guru Yoga, what are the steps. If one you understand, we say in Tibetan, whatever is the emptiness of one is the emptiness of all. If you understand well one Guru Yoga, then you understand well all Guru Yogas. Okay? Maybe some small differences we need to learn after. So what I want to do is for us really to understand the reason why we practice Guru Yoga and how does it work and what is actually the steps that we need to do through this meditation with recitation. Okay?
Tena arangi tsawe lama dancham go tsonga ba chimbo yermegi nerjo la tsumpa lur chawa ni dini di chi lekso ge tsawa tsupadan to sam gonsongi ne tu droshin parche gi mitsupadan dripdan gyaltsen lödön ge nöba le sonshins de nam yishin tu drubadan takpara tinle ge kabab sherab chewa salwa chewa nyurwa sabanam rangi ngangi druba dango retsam ne pel nyongwa druba tenten tserab to chumgo lamenge tempa da jawa de misashi ganden gi shinto kiwa sogi penyo taye so.
So, when we talk about the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa, I'm going to be explaining the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa in accordance to one text that I like very much. There is a text which is a commentary on how to practice the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. by Paponka de Chenimpo. Paponka de Chenimpo, as we have represented on our painting there, on the three masters, is the one on our left. And then Paponka de Chenimpo is also the root guru of the root guru of Lama Gangchen, of the root of Trichan Dorje Chang, who is the root guru of Lama Gangchen. So in this way, this commentary is very nice because it's not only explaining the practice, but it's most of all explaining the different visualizations that we have at every step of the practice, and adding some other parts of prayers and visualizations also to make it complete. So it's really very, very nice, and it's one of the texts that I most like. So when we talk about the benefits, Paponka Rinpoche starts actually telling us the benefits of the practice of the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. There are many, many different forms of benefit, and here he's talking about basically when we do the Guru Yoga, we are doing the practice in which we visualize Lama Tsong Kapa in front of us. Later we're going to go into the details of that. But we visualize Lama Tsong Kapa being inseparable from our own root guru. And then we do offerings, prostrations, we purify our negativities, and so on. So the benefits that he says here is, first of all, it helps to make this life meaningful. But not only that, specifically, it helps for us to fulfill the process of listening, comprehending, meditating. Especially, it helps to eliminate interferences, external interferences, internal interferences. Especially also, it helps to eliminate interferences and sicknesses related to spirits and sicknesses and other sorts of interferences, of external interferences, and to protect us from this type of spirits and so on. It helps us to fulfill our wishes. And most of all, it helps us to fulfill wisdom, to realize wisdom, which is the four types of wisdom, which is a vast wisdom, a clear wisdom, fast wisdom, and profound wisdom, which is basically having our mind that is able to perceive many things, fast wisdom. At the same time, in a clear way, clear wisdom. Fast, we can go from one object to the other quickly. Fast wisdom, and then at the same time, a profound wisdom, which we understand things not in a superficial way, but we can go deep into their meaning. So these are some of the benefits of the practice of the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. And also, it's also of benefit that it helps us to keep the connection from life to life with the lineage of Lama Tsong Kapa, with the teachings and so on. Personally, I developed much greater faith, and also the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa came to have a different meaning for me in the moment I started to read the texts, the books written directly by Lama Tsong Kapa himself. They are so special, not only beautiful, but deep, and at the same time so clear that. But sometimes when I read this text, I look at it and say, how is it possible for someone to know so much, and to put it so clear? It's really, really amazing in this sense. But my main point here is that regarding the benefits of the practice, it's important for each one of us to do the practice and experience it for ourselves. It's like Rinpoche was saying when he started teaching the mantra Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Soha, that he said, look, you do the mantra. If you feel benefit, you continue to do it. If you don't feel benefit, you stop doing it. Similar to that, we need to do the practice of the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. If we feel benefit, we continue. If we don't feel benefit, there is no need to continue in this way. But we need to experience, we need to try it for ourselves. But I was just remembering one disciple in Brazil, before coming to Buddhism, he was actually coming from other religions, and where there was a lot of these things with spirits and so on. And then when he arrived into Buddhism, he's had a lot of bad dreams, and he would listen to voices and many things like that. So then at the time, Lama Gangchen gave him the practice to do 100,000 prayer requests of and as he started doing his retreat, as he went on, the dreams became less and less and less, until when he finished the retreat, he had no more negative dreams and so on. But his mother also had the same problem. But for her, it was too difficult to do the whole Lama Tsong Kapa prayer 100,000 times. So She did the mantra, Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhihun, Lama Tsong Kapa mantra for 100,000 times. And then she also stopped completely having all the negative dreams and so on. So there are actually many, many benefits of the practice of Lama Tsong Kapa, but we need to experience for ourselves. Sure, there is also the benefit of accumulating merit, of purifying our negativities, and so on. One important thing also is that when we do a practice, we need to understand that the sadhana, which means the process of recitation and visualization, it is actually like a map that is showing us the process of meditation. What's the process that I need to do with my mind? Okay? So, it's not enough just to know how to read the map. We need to follow the path also. So sure, we need to follow the map. We need to know the map. We need to know how to read the map. But at the same time, we must walk. Otherwise, we would have all the memory by the map by heart, and we will know everything. But if we don't walk, we will never get to the place, to our treasure. So similar to that, the sadhana is like a map. And once we know the map well and we start walking, we can do one part of the sadhana a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, and so on. So what I want to do is to show you really the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. What are the steps that we have within it? Really try to read together this map to understand what's the inner process that we should do together with it. Okay? So, let's go through the explanation of the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. And the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa, we can divide the practice and the explanation into 3 parts, which is called the preparation or the preliminary practices, the actual practice, and the conclusion. The preliminary practices starts, if we take the sadhana, from page number 4 and goes up to page number 7, and then from there starts the actual practice. But the preliminary practices, which is very important, which basically are like the basis for the rest, they start actually much before that. We could go on many details for very long about it, but we're not going to do that now. Otherwise, we would have no time to see the actual practice of Lama Tsong Kapa, the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa, okay? But basically, what we do, first we need to prepare the place where we do our practice. If we have already the Gompa where we do the practice, or we have a place in our home and so on, okay. If we need to choose a place, it's important for us to try at least to prepare the place, making it comfortable, and at the same time, make the place for our practice to be as much as possible free from distractions. So first thing, turn the telephone off. Because if I am doing my practice, and suddenly I have the phone there, Ganden Lha Ghiema, then I see some light coming, that zzz, and I look to the telephone, and then I'm already thinking, oh, the message of this, the email of that, Facebook, whatever, and one part of my mind is already going there. So turn off the phone. If you have many people ringing you at home, you can take off the phone, so nobody will call you. Just try for half an hour that you do the practice, 1 hour that whatever, just create the best condition as possible. Okay, some people tell me, oh, I am a doctor, I have emergency cases, I must keep the phone always on. Okay, that's different. Otherwise, most of us are not doctors, we don't have this type of emergency. It will make no difference if someone calls us half an hour later. So basically we turn off the phone. We try to create the condition for our practice as best as possible. Sure, if we cannot get all the best conditions, let's say, for example, we have a neighbor that is playing music loudly, or we have someone nearby us talking or whatever, okay, that shouldn't be an excuse, a reason why not to do the practice. But as we prepare ourselves, we try to do the best as we can to create a positive environment, a good condition for our practice. This is because we still have quite a weak mind. We don't have such a strong mind that we can practice in any conditions. Okay? So, we try to prepare the place for the practice in the best way as we can. Second, there is the preparation of the altar, the preparation of the offerings, and so on. I'm not going to go into details on that right now. Then we sit down. Normally we should have a cushion that is in the back a little bit higher than in the front. And we prepare our body, which means we sit into the right position for our meditation. And basically it's called the 7 postures or the 8 postures of Vairochana, which is 1, legs, we have the crossed legs. 2, the back should be straight. 3, the shoulders relaxed. 4, the right hand above the left hand with the thumbs touching together at the height of the navel. Then we have 5, the head slightly downwards. 6, the mouth that is relaxed and closed. And 8, the eyes that are slightly closed looking downwards. And 7, the eyes. And 8, we have the awareness of our own breath. So the 8th step is just to be aware of our breath and to have a regular, stable breathing. Okay? So these are the 8 postures, which are very important because by having the right position, the right posture of meditation, this will already help us to go to the next step, which is to prepare our mind. The first step in preparing our mind before generating the actual motivation, which we already enter into the part of recitation, we should first bring our mind to a neutral state, to a state of calm, to a peaceful state. And we do that by simply doing very simple breathing meditation. We observe our breath as we inhale and exhale. We can count it. I inhale, exhale 1. We go again, inhale, exhale 2. We can count up to 7, we can count up to 21. We can make as many cycles of 7 that we like, until we find that our mind is in a more calm and balanced state. Okay, sometimes we may be too agitated, and after 1 hour we still don't have our mind in a balanced and very calm state. So in this case, it's okay, after 15 minutes, whatever, then you can start the actual practice. But it's very important for us to add in the beginning of the practice this part of breathing and bringing our mind to a state of calm and balance before we start by taking refuge and so on. Okay? So this is the preliminary part of the preliminary practices. What we do before we start with the actual recitation. After that, we will start with the actual recitation where we start with Namo Guru Bye. Okay? The same thing is when we do also the Guru Puja or any other practice. We start by bringing our mind to a more balanced state. And then we start with the actual practice. Okay? So, as we start with the part of the preliminary practices, with the recitation, the first thing that we need to do is we need to take refuge. And in order to take refuge, we have 3 parts, let's say. We have the recitation, because taking refuge is not to recite Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Triratnaya. Okay, I have taken refuge. Then now what? It's not exactly like that, okay? This is the recitation of taking refuge, which are words that should help us to direct our mind in order for us to take refuge. Taking refuge is a state of consciousness. It's something that comes from deep within our mind. Okay? So we have the actual taking refuge, we have the recitation of taking refuge, we have the actual taking refuge, and we have the visualization that we do as we take refuge. Okay? So the recitation that we will do here, we can do it in different ways. The recitation that we will do here is Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, and then the third time we say Namo Triratnaya. The attitude of our mind that we generate in this moment, making it short, briefly, is basically that I really don't want anymore to continue in samsara. I'm too tired of my anger, jealousy, pride, miserliness, selfishness, ignorance. And then out of my mental defilements I do an action of body, speech, or mind. and then after I have the result of that action, then I react with more mental defilements, then I have more actions, and then I have more results, and then I live in this infinite cycle of suffering and mental defilements and negative karma. I am tired. I don't want any more to continue into this process. I simply cannot cope with it anymore. I am really too tired of samsara. I don't want to be anymore in samsara, into this cycle. But by myself alone, I am not able. So I need to ask someone that has already done the process to help me. So I ask, please, Buddha, you that have already gone through this whole process and reached enlightenment, please show me the path to get out of samsara. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma, the actual path to follow. I take refuge in the Sangha, the spiritual community that will give me support during my path. I take refuge in the Guru, that is the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. The Guru that I have the connection, that is nearby me on my daily basis, to whom I can see, I can touch, I can feel. Okay? So, in this moment, we need to generate this strong, deep intention of love towards ourselves, in which we really wish something much better for us than just the simple mundane pleasures that we normally wish. And we say, I want to get out of the cycle of samsara. I want to live in a state of peace, of harmony, of joy, of satisfaction that is independent of all external conditions. I want to get out of samsara, basically. And as we develop this strong and deep wish and certainty, we request Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha to help us. We take refuge and we request the Guru as the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha to help us. So this is the attitude that we generate. As we generate this attitude, and we recite Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, and the third time we recite Namo Triratnaya, we visualize in front of us, and when we talk about visualization, it's like we imagine. And then when we started first by breathing, and observing our own breath, we visualize at the height of the horizon of our eyes. Okay, that's why we say also normally that the height where we sit or where we put our altar should be more or less that where is the images of the Buddha and so on is more or less at the same height as the horizon of our eyesight. So, as we sit there, because the altar is helping us for the visualization also. And if I have the altar too high, it's not good, or too low is also not good, okay? So, we sit down, and at the height of the horizon of our eyesight, we imagine Guru Buddha on a beautiful throne. There are many ways of making the visualization of refuge. I'm going to give the one in accordance to the text of Apunka Rinpoche in a short version, okay, in a simplified version. We visualize first of our throne similar to the one of Lama Gangchen. The throne is representing the qualities of the Dharma, the qualities of the Buddha, the qualities of the Guru, the Sangha. So, we visualize a beautiful throne. This throne has a lotus flower with a sun and a moon cushion, symbolizing bodhicitta, and we have also with renunciation, bodhicitta in the correct view of reality also. The lotus is symbolizing renunciation. Then we have the sun and the moon cushion symbolizing bodhicitta by the, the moon cushion, and the correct view of reality by the sun cushion. Okay? So this is symbolizing and Guru Buddha is set on it. Guru Buddha appears to us as Buddha Shakyamuni, so the same appearance as we know Buddha Shakyamuni, but inseparable from our gurus, inseparable of Lama Tsong Kapa, inseparable of all holy beings. And we visualize Guru Buddha, we can also do the visualization, some sort of hologram, that from Buddha Shakyamuni, sometimes we look, it transforms into our Guru's face, and go back to Buddha Shakyamuni, and so on. Okay? This can help us to remember that it's actually of the same nature. And then as we visualize Guru Buddha is smiling at us. When we will see in the Ganden Lha Ghiema, also in the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa, we also visualize Lama Tsong Kapa smiling. One of my gurus, Kyabche Tragon Rinpoche, he used to make a joke saying, oh, you visualize the Guru Buddha smiling at you because he's happy that finally you are doing something positive. No? that you are there, still sit there to meditate. Finally, you are doing something positive. But actually, what is also symbolizing that you visualize Guru Buddha smiling at you, it is that it's symbolizing the love that we receive. It symbolizes the generosity, the kindness, the love that we receive from our Guru, the love that we receive from Guru Buddha. So we visualize Guru Buddha smiling at us. Guru Buddha emanates love and wisdom and healing power. And then as we recite Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, we visualize white, red, blue, yellow, and green light coming from the 5 chakras of Guru Buddha and absorbing at our 5 chakras. Okay? As it absorbs in our chakras, it purifies our negativities, revitalizes our qualities, and we imagine that the light and nectar are of the nature of love, of compassion, of wisdom, of healing. And it's really something that, it makes the connection between us and Guru Buddha stronger and stronger. It's like we request refuge and our request is accepted. So we generate this thought, this state of consciousness. Okay? So the question that came was if Lama Tsong Kapa is actually a Buddha. And sure, yes, Lama Tsong Kapa have reached enlightenment. There are 2 different types of interpretations. One is that Lama Tsong Kapa was already since his birth an emanation of Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom. And the other is that he reached enlightenment at the end of his life, in the moment of the Bardo. And there is the whole reason why he chosen to reach enlightenment in the Bardo and not before. I'm not going to go into details on that right now. But I prefer, personally, the one that fit better to my mind, that Lama Tsong Kapa reached enlightenment by the end of his life. Because, okay, if he was already a Buddha since the very beginning, then what example? Okay, he was already a Buddha. That's why he could make 1 million of prostrations. No? But I don't see that in that way personally. He was a very special person. This is no doubt. Lama Tsong Kapa, just for example, when he was 3 years old, he was already going to the house of people to give advices and teachings. Dharma advices. And some people may say, okay, that's how possible, 3 years old, that's too small to give an advice, that's just some Tibetan invention, whatever. But one time, I was reading about the life of many mathematicians, and there was a French mathematician that when he was 3 years old, he was correcting the accounting of his father's shop. So, why can't Lama Tsong Kapa give teachings and advice at 3 years old, no? So, Lama Tsong Kapa was giving teachings when he was 3 years old, and he always, in his memories, he says that when he remembered being so much respected when he was so small, he already felt that it was all so meaningless, all the mundane dharmas of being recognized and being respected and receiving presents. He all saw this as something of no meaning. And when he was 7 or 8, I'm not sure, I think 7 actually. When he was 7, he was already doing self-initiation of Heruka. Okay, which is something that nowadays maybe some monks after 50 years in the monastery are not able to do. So, he was really quite a realized being. This is no doubt at all. And then, he had the direct relationship with Manjushri himself through his own path. Very, very special. And we have a very special connection to Lama Tsong Kapa also because it comes through our Guru, the Guru of our Guru, and so on, until it goes directly to Lama Tsong Kapa himself. So there is a very special connection from us also. Okay? But we will start the actual visualization of Lama Tsong Kapa later in the practice. Now we just visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, the rays of light and nectar from the 5 chakras coming to us. And this is the same visualization that we can do when we do the Guru Puja, when we do all the other practices and so on. If we want to do the extensive version of visualization, then there is a visualization of a very huge throne. Above it there are 5 thrones. There is Buddha Shakyamuni, Vajradhara. There is our own root Guru. There is the Buddha of Wisdom Manjushri. There is Maitreya. And then there are all the Yidams, the Dakas, the Dakinis, the protectors of the Dharma. There is a big group of people there, of holy beings. But I think it's a little bit too much for us to visualize all of it, no? And then even beside each one of the gurus of the lineage, you need to visualize how many books they had on their side, according to how many books they wrote. It can get so detailed because basically they are practitioners. They don't do anything else in their life than doing their own Guru Yoga practice, no? So they go into very specific details like, okay, Lama Tsong Kapa, you visualize Lama Tsong Kapa, and beside him there are 18 volumes. Then you visualize Guru Rinpoche. I don't remember how many volumes Guru Rinpoche has, and like this you go on and on and on. We don't need to go into that level of details. We can keep simple. Just visualize what is called in Tibetan Kundu Norbuluk, which means the tradition of the jewel that combines all preciousness. Which means you visualize Guru Buddha and no one else. Don't need to make all these very complex visualizations, okay? That's more simple and more powerful for us right now. If we have an incredible ability of visualization, then okay, we can make it very complex, but we don't need to do that right now, okay? Well, so in this way we conclude the part of refuge. The next part is what we call taking refuge and generating the bodhicitta. And so, in this moment, what we do is that we basically, after having taken refuge, we have once again divided into three parts, which is the recitation of generating the bodhicitta and taking refuge, the actual inner state of mind, and the visualization. Okay, in all the practice, we can divide these three aspects. Okay, recitation, mental attitude, state of consciousness, and visualization. Okay, the recitation and the state of, and the visualization are there to help us to generate the correct state of mind. Okay, so the recitation is simple. We have it written in the sadhana, in Sangye Chidan Soge Chonamla, Janjo Bardadani Kazoche, Dagijin Sogibe Sonon Girola Penjer Sangye Drubersho, Simchen Tamche Dewa Dandewe Gyudan Dempar Gyurchi, and so on. We do the recitation of what we call going for refuge, generating bodhicitta, and the 7 limitless meditations. Okay, so this is what we will recite. We can do it in Tibetan, we can do it in English, in whatever language we want. That's fine. The mental attitude that we will generate is that of somehow saying to ourselves, okay, but it's not enough for me just to get out of the cycle of samsara. What about other sentient beings? And when I look to other sentient beings around myself, I really see there is so much suffering that I must do something to help everyone. So I do not want only to get out of the cycle of samsara, I must reach enlightenment. So because this is the only way through which I can really help each and every sentient being. So may I reach enlightenment, may I develop my qualities to the maximum of their potential, may I eliminate completely my defilements so that I may help every sentient being to get out of samsara, to get out of suffering. So we generate that intention, and as we do that, we take refuge in the Buddha that one day we will become, which is called the refuge of the resultant refuge. You know? Some people may think, oh, there is a mistake in the sadhana because it's the 2 times going for refuge. That's not a mistake. The first time going for refuge is the refuge of the cause, in which we take refuge in the Buddha that will show us the path. The second time, we take refuge in the Buddha that one day we will become, which means taking refuge in our own potential of enlightenment. That is a very, very important part. Okay? It is believing in our own potential, believing in our own pure nature. I can become a Buddha. So I take refuge in the Buddha that one day I will become. I take refuge in the pure state of the mind of the Dharma that one day I will develop. I take refuge in the Sangha, the perfect spiritual company that one day I will become. I take refuge in my own spiritual practice. I take refuge in my ability of helping others. I take refuge in the Guru that one day I will become, which means I take refuge in the state of being inseparable of my own Guru Buddha that I one day will become. So, which means believing in our own potential, believing in our pure nature. One of the very important aspects in our path is generating faith towards ourselves. I can do it. And this is what we generate at this moment. And as we do this, the visualization that we will do is that We generate this mind and we say, I take refuge in the Buddha that one day I will become. I take refuge in the Dharma that I will generate in my own spiritual practice. I take refuge in my ability to help others. I take refuge in the Sangha that I will become. I take refuge in the Guru. Then, with the strong intention to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, we imagine an emanation of Guru Buddha coming towards us. Like when we talk about emanation, it's said to be, when we have one candle and then you light another candle from it, you have double fire. But the first one is not less strong as it was. It continues as it was before. Similar to that, the main emanation is there, and then there is simply another emanation coming from that one. And then as it comes too near to us, it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it sits in our crown, looking at the same direction of us, comes down through our central channel, it becomes big as a thumb. It comes down through our central channel and sits in a lotus flower at our heart. At that moment, when Guru Buddha sits in our heart, our body, speech, and mind becomes inseparable of the body, speech, and mind of Guru Buddha. To be more precise, our very subtle body, speech, and mind becomes inseparable with the very subtle body, speech, and mind of Guru Buddha. At that moment, it's like we imagine, like our mind expands. Our wisdom becomes infinite. Our inner space becomes infinite. Our love have no more boundaries. It's like our consciousness simply becomes as big as space, as vast as space. If we try to imagine it more simple, just imagine if we take our Guru, for instance, Lama Gangchen, and we take Rinpoche, and suddenly we feel his love, we feel his wisdom, his mental stability. It's like within my mind and his mind, which mind is more powerful and more influential? His mind. So if the two are put together, my mind is supposed to follow his mind, is overwhelmed by his mind. The example that is given is said to be that similar that when we make a vase out of clay, you have the clay, which is the substantial cause, and you have the man making the clay, the potter, I don't know how they call that. And the potter, he's the one that creating the conditions for the clay to take a beautiful shape. Similar to that, our own body, speech, and mind is like the clay, and the body, speech, and mind of Guru Buddha is like the potter, which is making a shape to our own mind, and to our body, and to our speech. So, in the moment that Guru Buddha absorbs into us and sits in our heart, our mind expands, our body, speech, and mind becomes inseparable of the body, speech, and mind of Guru Buddha. We experience this deep state of joy, of the union of great bliss and emptiness. It's just amazing. Just imagine being one and inseparable of Guru Buddha. Then, from our heart that is inseparable the heart of Guru Buddha, light and nectar and many emanations of Buddhas and all holy beings emanates from our heart, going to the 10 directions to every sentient being. Human beings, animals, bacteria, spirits, all the realms of existence, going to every sentient being, purifying their negativity, bringing them to a state of joy, of peace, of balance. And then, once they have reached the state free from suffering, the emanations come back and reabsorb into our heart. Okay? So we do this as we recite Sangye Chodan Soge Chonamla, and then later Simchen Tamche Dewa Dan Dewi Gyudan Dempar Gyurchik, the 7 limitless meditation. Okay? It may look like quite a lot of stuff to visualize while reciting not so much, but this is something that it's also a matter of practice. No? The more we do, and maybe sometimes we can dedicate more time to taking refuge, and we dedicate more time to generating the bodhicitta, then slowly it becomes more simple. Okay? But this is the actual visualization that we do at this moment. Okay. So, after having made the generation of the bodhicitta, before we start with the actual practice, which is the visualization of the merit field, we need to conclude the absorption of the merit field of refuge. We have in front of us Buddha Shakyamuni. So before visualizing Lama Tsong Kapa, we need to do something with Buddha Shakyamuni, no? Buddha Shakyamuni is there. So what we do is we generate the intention in which we say, Yes, after all the light and nectar that emanated from our heart has come back and reabsorbed back into our heart, we generate intention in which we say, I must reach enlightenment as quick as possible for the benefit of all sentient beings, and for that reason I will make the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa. At that moment, Guru Buddha Shakyamuni in front of us dissolves into a golden light, and this golden light comes into our direction, enters through our forehead, fills completely up our central channel, expands from our central channel to our body, and from our body to the whole universe. And at this moment, we can meditate on the transformation of death into the Dharmakaya. We meditate in the union of great bliss and emptiness with clear light. Okay? Maybe later I can explain this in some more details, but we do this. Then from this point, in this way, we have concluded what is called the preliminaries for the practice of Ganden Lha Ghiema. And it's the same that we will do when we do the Guru Puja, when we do many, many other practices, okay? So this, actually, only until here, if we do it well, is already so powerful. You know? If instead of just reciting quickly, we really stop and we really do the visualization, we put the right energy into it, we do it with the right intention, it is extremely powerful and beneficial, just to go to this point. So once we have generated this, then we will start in page number 6 with the actual practice, okay? And we still have some small preparation before we start with the actual Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa, before we start with the visualization. But we have concluded the part of the preliminaries of the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa, okay? So, in the moment that actually Guru Buddha have come, dissolved into light, and absorbed through our forehead, and from our forehead, Guru Buddha have entered through our central channel and expanded through our body, and from our body to the whole universe. At this moment, we imagine that everything dissolves into light. It's like there is nothing remaining, only clear light. This light of Buddha comes, expands through us, and expands through the whole universe, and there is nothing more than clear light. Okay? So, as we imagine that there is nothing more than light, it actually, at this moment, there is no more body, there is no more planet, there is no more me, no more you. There is simply the union of clear light and emptiness, okay? Of great bliss and emptiness. So this meditation, it's a very important, very deep meditation, and we're not going to go into details right now about it, but it has 4 main aspects that we need to keep in mind, okay? It's called in Tibetan, Nawa Tongsang Ngengo Ranshi Meba Yuchen Dewa Chimbo Yeshe Chukungagel, which means the appearance, it appears as complete emptiness, which means at the moment that everything becomes this, there is nothing more than this infinite emptiness full of light. There is no big, there is no small, there is no beautiful or ugly, there is no here or there is no this or that. The mode of apprehension is of being empty of inherent existence. So yes, it appears as an infinite emptiness, and at the same time as being interdependent, as lacking inherent existence. The one that actually perceives it, Yuchen Dewa Chimbo Yeshe, the perceiver is the state of great bliss. So wherever there is emptiness, wherever there is this great emptiness, there is the mind of great bliss also. And ourself, our identity is within the union of great bliss and emptiness. So wherever there is emptiness, there is great bliss. Wherever there is great bliss, there is emptiness. And wherever there is emptiness and great bliss, there is me. But it's not like, oh, I am here and you are there. So we meditate all together and we have 50 different unions of great bliss and emptiness. No, when we visualize, there is nothing more than myself, which I am present everywhere. I am the union of great bliss and emptiness. It's like putting water and milk together. We cannot distinguish anymore one of the other. Okay? So As I just said before, this is a very advanced practice, a very important aspect of the practice, but we are still in the very beginning of the practice, no? We are not even at half of it. So why we are doing it in the beginning? Because it is so important that we need to do it again and again and again. We need to repeat this aspect of the practice many and many times. So, let's just try to keep in mind these four aspects, okay? The appearance is of emptiness, total emptiness. The mode of apprehension is of lacking inherent existence. The observer is great bliss, and I am the union. I experience this through the identity of being the union of great bliss and emptiness. So, within these four aspects, then we can actually meditate in this so-called union of great bliss and emptiness. So this is a very important moment of the practice, okay, which is also called transforming the death into the Dharmakaya. So, after we have concluded the generation of the bodhicitta, to conclude the preliminary practices, we will go to one of the parts of the practice that for me personally is one of the parts that I most like. It is actually, it's difficult to say the part that you like more or less, but it's for me one of the most beautiful parts of the practice also. It's in the very, very beginning of the practice, but it's very, very deep and beautiful. So it is when Guru Buddha in front of us dissolves into light, then the light comes. I imagine normally a golden light, and then it comes, absorbs through our forehead, enters through our central channel, fills up completely our central channel, expands through our whole body, to all our body, and from our body the light expands through the whole universe. As the light expands through the whole universe, everything becomes nothing more than an infinite emptiness full of light. There is nothing more that is infinite emptiness full of light, empty of inherent existence, inseparable of great bliss, and I am the union of great bliss and emptiness. So we stay in this state of meditation, in the union of great bliss and emptiness of clear light, as long as we can, as long as it's comfortable. It can be for a few seconds, or for a few minutes, or for a few hours. It depends how we feel it more comfortable. Then, from that state, we will start the point which is called the actual practice. Okay? So, at this point of the practice, it's very important because it's the moment in which we recognize the pure nature of our own self. We recognize the pure nature of our mind. And we have done this already in the moment of generation, the bodhicitta, when Guru Buddha absorbed into us. Now, once again, we are doing it again, okay? So we can see it's very important to recognize our true nature, okay? The way how I am teaching to you the preliminary practices, as it being taught by Papunka Rinpoche in the commentary of Ganden Lha Ghiema, it is actually what is called not the general explanation, but the specific explanation of the preliminary practices. Okay, it's the more special way of explaining the preliminary practices, which is integrated to Tantra. So the way how we are doing the preliminary practices here is directly integrated to the Vajrayana path. So that's why, since the moment of generating the bodhicitta, we visualize ourselves as being inseparable of Guru Buddha. Then once again here we go through the meditation on the transformation of the clear light of death into Dharmakaya, and so on. Okay, so this is actually, we go through it as something quite simple and quite an easy way, but actually all of these are very deep teachings and somehow quite secret also for a very long time. These are not commonly given teachings for a very long time, but this, as we follow our lineage, specifically according to our lineage, as we have here from Papunka Rinpoche's teachings, I am explaining it in the specific way, because we don't have any more time. First to speak the general, explain the general way, practice the general way for some years, then you receive the specific explanation, then you practice the specific way. We don't have so much time for that, so we go directly to the specific way. Okay? So this is why we are doing the transformation of death into the Dharmakaya here. And from here, we need to do the other two transformations, which is the transformation of Bardo into Sambhogakaya and rebirth into Nirmanakaya. Okay, this is what we need to do now. So, From the state of great bliss and emptiness of clear light, we generate the intention, in order to be of benefit for other sentient beings, I cannot remain in this state, because only a Buddha can perceive the Dharmakaya of another Buddha. So in order for me to be in contact with other beings, I need to have a more gross manifestation. I cannot stay in this very subtle state. So from that intention, from the state of clear light, once again the universe appears. And it's like, when we fall asleep and suddenly we wake up in a dream, appears everything. So we have the whole universe around us. There is then a lotus flower appears with a sun and a moon cushion, and seated above it, and above it we appear, our mind appears as a 6-syllable hum, or a beam of light. From this beam of light with the sound hum, light emanates in the 10 directions, going to all the Buddhas, making offerings to them, going to all the sentient beings, helping them to get out of suffering, and then reabsorbing back into the beam of light, blue in color, with the vibration of the sound hum. When they reabsorb, to benefit more sentient beings, we must manifest still in a more gross body. So from that beam of light, we appear with a pure body. 1 face, 2 arms, as Vajrasattva, or as one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas or the 5 great mothers. Okay? So we appear with a pure body. We have a central channel, a left and a right channel. They are perfectly balanced. And so we appear within this pure state of mind and body and speech in order to be of benefit for other sentient beings. Dopo aver generato questo stato puro averci generato noi stessi in uno stato puro, dal nostro cuore si emanano raggi di luce. Questi raggi di luce vanno nelle 10 direzioni, purificando completamente l'ambiente che si trova intorno, quindi eliminando qualunque tipo di impurità, di inquinamento, di conflitto che possa esistere nell'ambiente intorno a noi. Mentre visualizziamo questo, recitiamo la preghiera Tamche Duni Sashida Sengmalaslo Mepadan Lakti Tanyam Bendurie Ranshin Champur Negyurchi, nella pagina 6. Ok? Quindi mentre facciamo questa preghiera, visualizziamo che i raggi di luce si emanano dal nostro cuore, purificano completamente l'ambiente intorno a noi e poi ritornano e si riassorbono al nostro proprio cuore. Once we have generated ourselves as a pure being, from our heart light emanates, going to the 10 directions and purifying completely the whole environment around us, eliminating any sort of negativity, of conflict, of pollution, of any negative aspect that there may be in the environment. It's all completely purified. We imagine an amazingly beautiful environment with pure nature, okay? Free of any sort of conflicts. So we generate the whole environment around us as a very pure environment. And then we can go into many details of visualization here, but we simply imagine the most beautiful place with a beautiful environment. We can have mountains and we can have trees and rivers and grass, whatever we want, okay? We just imagine a very, very beautiful and peaceful environment. And while we make this visualization of the rays of light going and purifying the whole environment and reabsorbing back into our heart, we recite the prayer Tamche Duni Sashita Semalaslo Mepada Lauti Tanyam Bendori Ranshin Champo Negyurchik, as we find in page number 6, which is called Purification of the Sight. Okay. So, once we have purified the place, now it's a part of preparing and purifying the offerings. So, as we do, we visualize in front of us an ocean of offerings. I like to visualize similarly when we are, for example, in the airplane, and there is this like ocean of clouds. Okay? I like to visualize the offerings like this. There's so many offerings, so it goes to the horizon, no? And the offerings, we visualize all sorts of offerings of lights, flowers, food, cloth, all the objects of pleasure of the 5 senses. We visualize all these objects of the 5 senses and many, many, many offerings in front of us, okay? So as we visualize this ocean of offerings and we go through the prayer Om Namo Bhagavate, we visualize on top of the offerings the 6 syllable Om Ah Hum. The white Om, the red Ah, and the blue Hum. From Om Ah Hum, from Om white light emanates, from Ah red light emanates, from Hum blue light emanates, going to all the Buddhas of the 10 directions and requesting their blessings of body, speech, and mind. The blessings of body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas come back and reabsorb into Om Ah Hum, bringing all the blessings of body to the Om, all the blessings of speech to the Ah, all the blessings of mind to the Hum. After that, the Hum dissolves into the offerings. And when the 6 syllable Hum in front of us dissolves into the offerings, it's like when it touches the offerings, this blue light with the vibration of the sound Hum expands to the whole ocean of offerings. And as it expands to the whole ocean of offerings, it purifies any sort of impurity of color, shape, taste, or smell. So the offerings are completely purified. After that, the syllable Ah goes down and dissolves into the offerings. In the same way, as it touches the offerings, this red light goes and it melts into the offering. And this red light expands to the whole ocean of offerings with the vibration of the sound Ah, and transforms every offering into nectar. So the nectar, it means, is something totally pure that can heal every sickness, that just by touching, by listening, by tasting it, by smelling, by seeing it, it brings a new experience of great bliss and emptiness. Okay? Then after that, the syllable Om goes down and dissolves again into the offering. And as the Om touches the offerings, the white light expands. And as it expands also with the vibration of the sound Om, all the offerings are totally multiplied. Not in the sense that they fill up every space that is available, but they are multiplied in the sense that they become infinite, endless. It doesn't matter how much you use, there is always there. Okay? So this is the part, all the time when we do Om Ah Hum, Om Ah Hum, Om Ah Hum, when before eating or when we do an offering and we normally do this Om Ah Hum, that's the visualization we are supposed to do in the Om Ah Hum. First Om, the 3 lights emanate to the all directions, reabsorb into Om Ah Hum, then it dissolves into the offerings and purifies, transforms into nectars and multiplies. Okay? So this we do as in the prayers, as we do Om Namo Bhagavate, and after Kuncho Sumgi Dembadan Sangyadan Chancho Simba Tamchegi Chingi Labdan, Soni Yonsu Zobengadan Chimbodan Chöki Yin Number Dajin, Samgi Chöki Yin Number Takchin, Samgi Migape, Topki Teshin Yitu Kyuru Chi, expressing the power of the truth. In this moment, we say something like, may these offerings become real, not because I am visualizing them, but because I am offering them to all the Buddhas, and through the merits and the power of the merits of the Buddhas, may these offerings not be only my visualization, but may it become real offerings. Okay? So what we have done until here, basically, if we make some sort of analogy, is like preparing the house for a party. Okay? So we have a very important guest coming. More than a party, we are inviting a very important guest. So before our guest came, first what we did, we cleaned the house. We remember why we are inviting our guest. Then after that, we prepare our mind, we prepare our body, we clean ourselves. Then we go there, we make the house beautifully nice. Then we prepare the food, we make everything ready, and now we need to go to call the guest, which is the part which is called invocation. Okay? Who is our guest today is Lama Tsong Kapa. Okay? So we need to prepare for Lama Tsong Kapa in the best way as we can. That's why we visualize, we prepare ourselves in a pure way. We generate a positive mind before. We visualize that we are in a beautiful environment. And then we prepare these beautiful offerings for Lama Tsong Kapa, because we are inviting Lama Tsong Kapa. Why we are inviting Lama Tsong Kapa? Because we need his blessings in order for us to make offerings to him as a way for us to accumulate merit, in order for us to purify our negativities, to request his blessings, and to meditate on the gradual path to enlightenment. Okay? So, what we will do at this point, I will just explain this point right now, before we stop. And We do the first part, which is called the invocation, and then after, which is called the entreating. So what we do basically is that as we recite Ganden Lha Ghiema Tugarne Rabkar Shosar Punre Chudzinser Chuki Gyabu Kunge Losandra Sedan Cheba Nedir Sheksu Sol. We visualize in front of us Lama Tsong Kapa, but we need to invite Lama Tsong Kapa. As I said before, it's like if we need to invite someone to offer, we're inviting someone home to offer him a dinner or a lunch or something, to request for blessings. So traditionally, when we invite someone important, we don't wait, we don't send a message or make a call and wait him to come. We need to go there to receive him. We need to go to the house, to the place to receive the person that we want to invite. So basically, what we do is we need to go to Tushita, which is the place where Lama Tsong Kapa resides. It's said that once Lama Tsong Kapa left this body, as Lama Tsong Kapa, he was reborn in the pure land of Tushita, the land of joy. Besides, on the side of Buddha Maitreya, living together with Atisha also there. So, in that, where is Tushita? Tushita is said to be in the northern side of the Mount Meru. Mount Meru is said to be the center of the universe. Above the Mount Meru, there are what is called the 33 levels of the God realms. The God realms are above the Mount Meru. And above the Mount Meru, we have 33 levels of the God realms. On the 33rd level of the God realms, there is in one specific part of that God realm, it is the pure land of Tushita. It's like a township inside the 33rd level of the God realm. And in Tushita is where Buddha Maitreya resides. It's called the land of joy. So in the land of joy of Tushita, is Buddha Maitreya. There's a palace, beautiful like crystal palace with Buddha Maitreya. And on his two sides, there are Atisha and Lama Tsong Kapa. So, from the heart, so we invite Lama Tsong Kapa from there. So we visualize that from the heart of Lama Tsong Kapa come like a beautiful white cloud. So if we look at the cover of the sadhana, around Lama Tsong Kapa and his two disciples, there is this cloud. Okay? Here the cloud is a little bit golden in color, but this was just something the artist did golden, but actually it's supposed to be white. Okay? So we visualize it white. So we visualize this white cloud coming from the heart of Buddha Maitreya, perfectly connected to Buddha Maitreya, and then it's like a little line, and then it opens and as it gets near to us, and then in the middle of this beautiful white cloud, there is a throne held by 8 lions, with a lotus flower, a sun, and a moon cushion. Above this is Lama Tsong Kapa. Okay. When I received one of these teachings from my teacher in Tibet, from Kachin Losam Punso, some of our friends were also there. He gave the transmission, and then he was giving the explanation, where is Tushita? It was so nice, because he was saying Tushita is so and so kilometers away in this direction. There is this number of kilometers away, you find Tushita, It was like saying, okay, take the highway number 26, go to this direction, turn left, and then you will find Lama Tsong Kapa together with Atisha in the front of Buddha Maitreya. It was so nice the way how he was explaining, with so much certainty and clarity, and it was really, really very, very beautiful. So we imagine Tushita not as something, imagination. No, there is the pure land of Tushita where Lama Tsong Kapa resides. And from the heart of Buddha Maitreya comes this white cloud that it doesn't expand to the whole space. This cloud that comes from the heart of Buddha Maitreya as a line connection. And then as it comes opening, it opens in front of us. And then on a beautiful throne, holded by 8 lions, with a lotus flower, a sun and a moon cushion, is Lama Tsong Kapa. He sits with his crossed legs in the lotus position. He has the Vajra lotus position. He has the monastic robes. His hands are in the mudra of teaching the Dharma, both right and left hand, and turning the Dharma wheel, like the Vairochana mudra with 2 hands, like in this way. From each one of the hands comes a flower. like a lotus flower that blossoms at the height of his head, like his ears. On the right side, inside the flower, there is a beautiful sword, the sword of wisdom that cuts away ignorance. On the left side, on the flower, there is a text, which is a wisdom text, or the text of the Sutra of Perfection of Wisdom, showing the correct view of reality. Very importantly, Lama Tsong Kapa smiles at us, a beautiful smile. He has a yellow head. The yellow color symbolizes pure morality, while the fact that the head is pointed, has a very sharp point, represents the correct view of reality above which there is none. So, Lama Tsong Kapa is in front of us. On the side of Lama Tsong Kapa are his two spiritual sons. So, in the right side of Lama Tsong Kapa, which means our left side, is Gyatso Rinpoche, an older disciple of Lama Tsong Kapa, with a very peaceful and gentle expression. On the left side of Lama Tsong Kapa, our right side, looking at Lama Tsong Kapa, is his younger disciple called Kedrup Rinpoche, which has a more serious or wrathful sort of expression, and he's younger also, and both of them are dressed with the monastic robes, the yellow hat, the pointed yellow hat, and both of them, they have the right hand in the mudra of teaching the Dharma, the left hand in the mudra of meditative concentration. Okay. Gyatso Rinpoche is a little bit older and more peaceful. Kedrup Rinpoche is a little bit more serious. Just remembering, I like very much this story, how Kedrup Rinpoche came to know Lama Tsong Kapa. Lama Tsong Kapa was quite well known in Tibet at the time, but Kedrup Rinpoche was already a very well-known Lama from the Kagyu tradition. Kagyu or Sakya, now I'm confused. Anyhow, from one of the two traditions, he was a very well-known Lama. And he came to listen to the teachings of Lama Tsong Kapa. Let's say, okay, who is this Lama? Let's listen what he has to say. So Lama Tsong Kapa was giving teachings on the correct view of reality. Then arrived Kedrup Rinpoche. Just imagine, we are giving teachings here and suddenly arrive one other Lama. And then as Kedrup Rinpoche arrived, he arrived inside with his hat on, which symbolizes his own achievements, and it's not like, I'm not bowing down to you, no. So he arrived, he went in the direction of the throne, and he started going up the stairs of the throne. So Lama Tsong Kapa supposedly just went a little bit to the side, and he sat together with him there. And then Lama Tsong Kapa just continued to give the teachings normally. And as he was giving the teachings on the correct view of reality, suddenly Kedrup Rinpoche started to realize the greatness of Lama Tsong Kapa and to feel it. So he took his head off, and then slowly he went down off the throne. He made 3 prostrations, he sat in the floor to receive the teachings, and he never left Lama Tsong Kapa anymore. No? And he became one of the most important disciples of Lama Tsong Kapa. I don't think he did that out of pride, but Kedrup Rinpoche was very direct. He was not into some sort of politics, oh, he's important, so I'm going to be nice to him. You know, he was just very straightforward. So that's the way how he did, and that's the way how he continued later. So anyhow, we have these 2 disciples. They were the 2 disciples that mostly wrote down the teachings of Lama Tsong Kapa also. Okay? Gyatso Rinpoche wrote down a lot of teachings regarding Sutra. Kedrup Rinpoche wrote down a lot of teachings regarding mostly also Tantra. And they're very 2 important disciples of Lama Tsong Kapa. So we visualize the 3 in front of us, smiling to us. And the visualization can go into many more other details. Like we can visualize Chenrezik, Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri and Vajrapani at the crown, throat and heart of Lama Tsong Kapa. And it can go into many, many details. But we're not going to do that right now. We just keep in a more simple way. Okay. Tomorrow we will go again to this visualization. I will explain it once again. And maybe we go a little bit into more details. Okay. So as the text says, it goes, on the summit of a cloud, which resembles a heap of fresh white curd, emanating from the heart of the Lord of 100 deities of Tushita. The Lord of 100 deities is Buddha Maitreya. It's one of the names of Buddha Maitreya, Tushita, the land of joy. So emanating from the heart of Buddha Maitreya from Tushita, sits omniscient Sumati Kirti. Sumati Kirti is the name of Lama Tsong Kapa in Sanskrit, which is Losan Chakpa in Tibetan. The king of Dharma, together with his sons, I request them to descend to this place. In the space before me, upon a lion throne, lotus and moon, appears the venerable Guru, Lama Tsong Kapa, smiling radiantly with delight. You, the supreme field for my faithful mind, collection of merits, in order that the teachings may flourish, I request that you remain for hundreds of eons. So, we visualize Lama Tsong Kapa with his two disciples in front of us, and we really imagine that Lama Tsong Kapa is coming from Tushita and sitting in front of us. It's not just some sort of imagination. He's really there. So we imagine in this way clearly, we direct our mind in this way, and we request Lama Tsong Kapa, please come here, be with me. Come here in order for me to make offerings, to purify my negativities, to request your blessings, to accumulate merit, and to request your blessings for me to realize the gradual path to enlightenment. Okay? So this is the request that we do at this time. Okay? So in this way we conclude the first two verses. Tomorrow we are just going to go through it once again. Okay? Maybe with some little more details. And we conclude here for today. The Guru Yoga of Lama Tsong Kapa, as I said, is a very important practice. If you have the possibility just to go once again at least through the visualizations that we have explained today, starting from the refuge up to the visualization of inviting Lama Tsong Kapa, it's very useful to help it to remain in our mind. Okay?
Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar tinle chochur gepa dang losan tempe dreme sasum ki drowe munsel tatu negyurchi Nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delek shing Nitsen taktu delek pe koncho sumki jingi Koncho sumki trashisho Oma huntemba lame sangye rinpoche Kyoba lame tamcho rinpoche Dremba lame gindu rinpoche Kyamne kuncho sumla chupa